All right, let's talk about Tenet. Christopher Nolan's time-bending masterpiece that probably left you scratching your head and asking one massive question.
Yeah, that one. And hey, if that was you, you are definitely not alone. This movie is a total puzzle box. It's practically begging to be taken apart, piece by piece. So guess what? That's exactly what we're going to do.
Okay, let's dive into this. We are going to untangle this thing slide by slide. We'll hit the core concepts, make sense of those wild backward scenes, and unpack those huge reveals at the end. By the time we're done, it's all going to click. So, here's our game plan. First, we'll cover the mission, this silent war from the future. Then, we'll get into the rules of time inversion, which is, the key to everything. After that, we'll see how those rules create chaos in some key scenes. We'll break down that insane final battle strategy, and then finally, we'll hit the big twists. Sound good? Let's go.
All right, Section 1, the mission. So what's the actual plot here? Well, at its core, Tenet is a spy movie, right? But the enemy isn't some rival nation or secret organization. Nope, the enemy is literally the future.
So, our main guy, who we only know as the protagonist, is a CIA agent. He goes through this insane loyalty test. I mean, truly brutal, and gets pulled into this super-secret group called Tenet. And their job? Oh, just stop in a war with the future. No big deal. And the first breadcrumb they have is this wild piece of tech, inverted bullets. These things don't get shot from a gun, they get caught by it. Right away, the rules are different here.
So what's the big threat? It's this thing called the algorithm. And look, this is not just a bomb. It's way, way worse. It's a device that can invert the entropy of the entire world. I mean, it would basically just end reality as we know it. Poof. And the guy trying to put it together is this ruthless Russian oligarch, Sator. He's working with some bad actors from the future. So the mission is simple, but the stakes are insane. Get the algorithm and stop Sator. Okay, so how do you even begin to fight a war against the future? To get that, we have to understand the central idea of the movie, time inversion. Seriously, if you get this next part, the whole movie unlocks for you. This is the key. It's all about something called time inversion. And here's the easiest way to think about it. Imagine your life is a videotape. Normally, time is pressing play. Well, inversion is like someone hits rewind, but only for you. The rest of the world is still moving forward while you are just spooling backward through it. It's wild. Now, what's really interesting about this is how the physics just get totally turned on their head. When you're inverted, you can't breathe normal air. That's why they wear the masks. Fire doesn't feel hot, it feels cold because it's literally sucking heat out of you. And the number one most important rule, you absolutely cannot, under any circumstances, touch your forward-moving self. They say it could destroy you, total annihilation. So yeah, no touching.
So, you might be asking, how do they actually do this? Well, it's all thanks to these machines called turnstiles. And honestly, for something so reality-bending, the mechanics are pretty straightforward. You walk into one side moving forward, and you pop out the other side moving backward through time. Simple as that.
Okay, so we've got the rules down. Now for the fun part. Let's apply them to a couple of the most confusing, most awesome scenes in the movie. This is where the light bulb really goes on. You remember that fight in the Freeport, in the airport hangar? From the protagonist's point of view, it's just this incredibly weird scene. He's fighting this masked attacker who's, well, moving all wrong. It's jerky, unnatural. It looks like the footage is being played backwards or something. Okay, but then, later on, our guy inverts and goes back through that exact same moment in time, and boom, the big reveal. That mysterious masked fighter, it was him. He was literally fighting his future inverted self. So, for one version of him, the fight is happening forwards. For the other, it's happening in reverse. They meet in the middle. Mind-bending, right?
And it gets even crazier during that highway heist scene. Sator is so good at this, he's essentially in two places at once. You have the forward Sator attacking the protagonist to get part of the algorithm, but at the exact same time, you have an inverted Sator who is moving backward through the same scene, feeding his past self information about the future. It's the ultimate cheat code. And right in the middle of all this chaos, his wife Kat gets shot, but with an inverted bullet. And that's a huge deal, because a wound like that can't heal in normal time. It forces our heroes to invert just to save her life.
All right, that brings us to the grand finale. This is where all these rules and concepts come together in one of the most brilliant and confusing battle strategies you'll ever see on film. It's called a temporal pincer movement.
Just think about that for a second. You have two teams attacking the same target. One team is moving forward in time like normal. The other team is inverted, moving backward from the future through that same battle. So the inverted team has already seen what's going to happen. They can just radio the forward team and say, hey, in 5 minutes, a sniper is going to be in that window. It's like having the answers to the test before you even take it.
And this brilliantly illustrates how it all works in that final battle. You have the red team, who are inverted, doing their briefing after the battle is over for them, but before it begins for the blue team. They've already done the recon in reverse, so they know where the enemies are, what traps are set, everything. The blue team just has to execute based on perfect intel from the future. They're literally using time itself as a weapon.
Okay, so the action makes sense now, the strategy makes sense, but what about the people? Let's get into the final twists because this is where the story really hits home. So let's talk about Neil. He's charming, he's incredibly competent, and he always seems to be one step ahead, right? He knows things he shouldn't know. So who is this guy, really?
And here's the heartbreaking reveal. Neil has known the protagonist for years. A future version of the protagonist went back in time and recruited him. So for Neil, this entire movie is the end of a long, deep friendship. But for our protagonist, it's the very beginning. Neil has been moving toward this one moment his whole life, knowing he has to sacrifice himself to save his friend and the world.
And that's what makes his last line so powerful. He says, "For me, I think this is the end of a beautiful friendship. For the protagonist, it's just the start. But for Neil, it's goodbye." So that begs the final massive question. If a future protagonist recruited Neil, then who founded Tenet? Who was the real mastermind who put all of this into motion from the very beginning?
The answer is the protagonist. He did. In his own future, he creates the very organization that recruited him in his past. He sets the whole thing up. He recruits Neil, he orchestrates the entire mission to save the world. He's not just a pawn in the game, he's the one who set up the entire board. He's been the creator of his own destiny the whole time. And that's the beautiful tangled knot the movie leaves us with. Is everything predetermined? Is it all just one big straight line where what's happened happened? Or do we actually forge our own path, creating these loops ourselves to make sure destiny plays out the way it's supposed to? There's no easy answer. And honestly, that's what makes this film stick with you long after the credits roll.